Blink number 5. Digital technologies are either replacing or redefining our traditional job infrastructure. From bank tellers to ticket offices, you've probably seen the effects of automation, or at least heard somewhere that machines are taking our jobs. But is this actually happening? To some extent, yes. We're currently unable to find new forms of work as fast as we're making others obsolete. In the 20th century, an economist called John Maynard Keynes referred to this as technological unemployment, and it's responsible for much of our apprehension about technology. In fact, 63% of Americans feel that jobs are less secure today than they were 2 to 3 decades ago. And, as mentioned earlier, some workers are already being replaced by algorithms. Since computers can handle tasks at incredible speed and with reliable results, it makes economic sense to use them instead of humans, who are notoriously, human. But technological unemployment isn't the only change automation is causing. It's also creating a different type of working condition: continuous partial employment. You can see this best in the role of Uber drivers, who straddle the line between secure employment and independent contractors. They don't work in exchange for a regular paycheck or provide services to several companies. Rather, they work for a single employer whenever it suits them and for however long, and are paid accordingly. This is only made possible by platform and algorithm-based structures. Technically speaking, Uber drivers are doing all the work, and the platform, managed by algorithms, simply puts them in touch with customers before taking a cut of the profits. The resulting freedom may be good for some, but it is very insecure work, as Uber is not contractually obliged to give work or benefits to the drivers. So technology is clearly having a large effect on workforces, but maybe this isn't a problem. In the next Blinks, we'll look at how these changes can be cultivated into a force for good. Blink number 6. Technological unemployment can be fixed by reskilling and digitally augmenting workers. During the early 19th century, British weavers in Nottinghamshire intentionally destroyed many of the new machine looms that had recently been introduced because the machines were threatening their traditional craftsmanship. The weavers were following the example of the folk hero, Ned Ludd, who supposedly done the same years earlier. This is actually the root of the word Luddite, someone who opposes technological changes. Their concerns were justified, and the new technology led to widespread unemployment, as described by John Maynard Keynes. But Keynes, speaking metaphorically, went on to describe this period of worker redundancy as growing pains rather than old age, and sure enough, employment did eventually bounce back. The traditional craftsmanship of the Luddites became factory work, and over time, that became the office-based and service sector jobs that we know so well today. So, there is every possibility that our current disruptions are just the turning point toward a new dominant form of work. Rather than rejecting technological changes, we should try to embrace them and their potential benefits. One way to do this would be to work with rather than against the job insecurity of continuous partial employment, and not try to stamp it out. The focus should be on the freedom it gives employers, employees, and customers, as well as on fixing and improving platforms rather than rejecting them outright. Another way to embrace technology would be for employers to augment their workers rather than just replacing them. Much like workers in the Apple Store, who are all equipped with a smartphone or tablet, augmented employees can create a superior customer or user experience by bringing together the capabilities of computers and the personal touch of humans. Augmentation is actually a natural part of human development. Technologies are first discovered, then shared, and eventually embedded into tools to make them available to anyone. Few of us know much about code, but we have it embedded in our smartphones and use it to supplement our day-to-day lives, which is just a more advanced version of carrying around a box of matches instead of knowing how to start a fire. Blink number 7. By changing current regulations and attitudes, we can embrace new technology for the benefit of all. The world will continue to change thanks to the development of new technologies. But what will either limit or liberate you is how you approach the new, and whether you're willing to work with rather than against it. A good place to start is by no longer applying old regulations to new technologies. A lot of the conflict between regulators and technology companies comes from the fact that certain rules just don't apply anymore. For example, the author once had to debate a lawyer for the Authors Guild, which was suing Google for scanning books into the nascent Google Book Search database. The lawyer argued that this was copyright infringement, but the author explained that the scans weren't made to be published, but were actually a vital part of making a functioning search index. If they'd been stopped, the project wouldn't have worked. Perhaps, like the rolling updates and community input of open source technology, basic laws should be set, and the actual regulation to enforce them consistently updated depending on the changing circumstances of technology. But we shouldn't just worry about how tech is policed. We should also ask why it's developed in the first place. If developers have goals beyond monetary gain, then technology is almost guaranteed to serve humanity, rather than the other way around, because it'll have been programmed to help people from the get-go. The major issue, as with the financial market, is that reactionary attitudes and short-term profits will inevitably lead to a dead end. The actual pioneers of the technology industry are those who look for something more than money. Those that follow are generally only after their own financial gain. Instead of this, you should strive to contribute more to industry and society than what's in your pocket. Take the author's own business, O'Reilly Media, which has taught and inspired many startups and budding billionaires. It doesn't matter that the business has also made money, only that it's improved the market by inspiring others. And what does this culture of sharing remind you of? The very nature of open source software and platforms. It's the sharing of knowledge and innovation that makes technology a force that serves us before it serves itself. And when that happens, you'll only find yourself exclaiming WTF in delight. You've just listened to our Blinks to WTF by Tim O'Reilly. The key message in this is that there is no doubt that technology is changing almost everything about the way we live, and there is little point in trying to stand in its way. But whether or not society has to suffer as a result is entirely up to us and how we approach it. As long as we are aware of the potential misuses of technology and choose to embrace it as a tool for teaching and creativity, we can be sure to build the world of the future that works best for us. How can you apply these ideas to your life and business? Spot the seeds of the future. Rather than focus on the flavor of the month, look to the fringes of technology to try to imagine for yourself what will be the next big revolution. If you look for patterns like the reimagining of open source software as platforms, you can determine the most important trends and pick out the next big thing. And if you're in control of the future today, you can be sure that it develops with noble goals and an ethical mindset. Got feedback? We'd love to hear from you.